Dr. Rakib, if we listen to every single inquiry that we'd ever had in this country, cricket is institutionally racist and sexist. So is the police force, the fire brigade, the army, teaching, everything. Everything is. I'm sorry, I just do not see this. Do you think that realistically structural and institutional racism seriously exists as a major barrier to entry for people who are ethnic minorities in the world of cricket in this country?
Well, Patrick, as you said, this inquiry, this investigation was set up in response to the emergence of the Black Lives Matter movement in the UK. What I find remarkable is that we have a report here which is ultimately supposedly focused on the state of cricket in England and Wales, and it specifically mentions George Floyd in the foreword. And I think what that tells you is that there's this cultural and political Americanization of British sport, in this case, the most quintessential of British sports. And I think that when you look at, for example, England's victory in the 2019 Cricket World Cup, which was held here, you had a brotherhood which spanned race, ethnicity, class, even country of birth. So I just think that if you had a game, a sport, which had a hostile environment towards racial and ethnic minorities, and that the ethnic and racial discrimination was widespread in the game, would you have a situation where you had such a diverse winning team back in 2019? I'm not entirely sure. A team which, by the way, was captained by someone who was born in Dublin.
It was captained by someone born in Dublin, and when they won, I think I'm right in saying that they had non-alcoholic champagne. Well, that certainly seems to be the norm now anyway, where they have non-alcoholic champagne, because obviously they want to be sensitive towards the non-alcoholic rules of the Islamic faith, which is, you know, one thing, that's fair enough. It also goes on to say that black cricket has been failed by the ECB. It must do more to develop a plan to revive it. I can't help but notice that cricket in the West Indies is in decline. I'm not really sure they could blame the ECB or racism for that, for goodness sake. I mean, are there not just certain cultural elements as well that might lead to some people not particularly wanting to get involved and spending hours every single week playing cricket at the weekends and training once or twice a week as well?
There's a variety of factors at play, Patrick. I've often talked about class-based barriers when it comes to participation in grassroots cricket. As you know, compared to other sports, cricket-related facilities, maintaining them, as well as purchasing cricket-related equipment, it is relatively expensive. So I think there is a debate to be had in terms of how much do we invest in those facilities, especially in the inner cities. But if you look at certain working class communities, especially black British communities in London, it's just the fact that perhaps football is more popular. There's more successful co-racial footballers for young black British people to admire and to look up to compared to cricket. So I think that there's cultural and economic factors at play, but I still think compared to other sports, cricket has done fairly well, in my view, when it comes to racial inclusion. I think you see that through our national cricket team and their fantastic achievements in recent times. I also think there's a debate to be had in terms of hosting more state school fixtures at our major cricket grounds. Many inner city kids, these stadiums are on their doorstep, but they may feel distant, and I think that should change. But I think more generally, my main issue with the report, Patrick, is that it was overly doom and gloom. And I think that when you have a country, I mean, just recently, I mean, the timing of the report is remarkable. Just last week, Rehan Ahmed, 18 years of age, Pakistani Muslim origin, born in Nottingham, he was called up for the second Ashes test. And I just think that the timing of it is unfortunate when you see such amazing sporting stories in the game of cricket.